Pyramus and Thisbe, the forbidden love that painted the mulberries red. Have you ever heard of a love so powerful it stained the very fruit of the earth? A story that whispered its tragedy through the ages, long before Shakespeare ever penned the tale of Romeo and Juliet? This is the story of Pyramus and Thisbe, a heart-wrenching myth from ancient Babylon that teaches us about love, loss, and the devastating power of a single misunderstanding. So, settle in as we journey back in time to the city of Queen Semiramis, where two young hearts beat as one, separated only by a cold, stone wall. Our story begins in the bustling city of Babylon, a place of towering ziggurats and hanging gardens. Here lived two families, side by side, their houses sharing a common wall. In one house lived Pyramus, celebrated as the most handsome young man in all the East. In the other lived Thisbe, a maiden whose beauty was unmatched. Living so close, they had known each other since childhood. As they grew, their friendship blossomed into a deep and passionate love. They yearned to be married, to spend their lives together, but there was one insurmountable obstacle: their parents. For reasons lost to time, their families held a bitter feud and forbade them from ever being together. Their love, however, could not be contained. Denied the chance to meet, to even speak face to face, they discovered a small, forgotten crack in the very wall that separated their homes. This tiny fissure became their secret sanctuary. Each day, they would press their lips to the cold stone, whispering words of love, sharing their dreams, and lamenting their cruel fate. "Oh, you wicked wall," they would sigh. "Why do you stand between lovers?" Yet they were also grateful. "But we are not ungrateful," they'd add. "We confess that we owe to you the privilege of letting our words reach loving ears." Through this crack, they would exchange their vows and say their goodnights, each kissing their own side of the wall, imagining it was the other's lips they touched. The frustration of their separation grew with each passing day. The stolen whispers through the crack were no longer enough. They needed more. They needed to see each other, to hold each other, to feel the warmth of their love without a barrier between them. One evening, as the sun began to set, they devised a daring plan. They would escape their homes under the cover of darkness and meet outside the city walls. Their chosen rendezvous point was a well-known landmark, the tomb of Ninus, a monument that stood beneath a tall mulberry tree heavy with snow-white berries close to a cool, fresh spring. The plan was set. They would wait until nightfall, slip away unnoticed, and finally be free. As darkness blanketed Babylon, Thisbe, ever the braver of the two, carefully veiled her face and crept out of her house. She navigated the silent streets and made her way to the agreed-upon spot. She arrived first and sat beneath the white-berried mulberry tree, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and anxiety, eagerly awaiting her beloved Pyramus. But as she waited, a terrifying sight emerged from the shadows. A lion, its jaws dripping from a recent hunt, came to the spring to quench its thirst. Frozen in fear, Thisbe fled into the darkness of a nearby cave. In her haste, her veil slipped from her head and fell to the ground, unnoticed. After drinking its fill, the lion lumbered past the spot where Thisbe had been sitting. It came across her fallen veil, and with its still bloodied mouth, playfully mauled and tore the delicate fabric before disappearing back into the wilderness. A short while later, Pyramus arrived. He followed the tracks in the dust and saw the clear paw prints of a lion. His heart sank. Then his eyes fell upon the tattered, blood-stained veil lying on the ground. He recognized it instantly. It was Thisbe's. In that moment, his world shattered. He was consumed by a tidal wave of guilt and despair. He believed the lioness had found and killed his love, and it was all his fault. He had asked her to come to this dangerous place, and he had not been there to protect her. "One night shall destroy two lovers," he cried out, his voice filled with anguish. "I am the one who is guilty. It is I who have caused your end, my dearest. I bade you come by night to a place of fear, and I was not here first." Overcome with grief, Pyramus drew his sword. He held the tattered veil, covering it with tears and kisses. Now he declared, "You shall drink my blood as well." Without a moment's hesitation, he plunged the blade deep into his side. As he fell, his lifeblood sprayed upwards, arcing through the air and showering the white berries of the mulberry tree above him. The roots of the tree drank in his blood, and the once snow-white fruit was stained a deep, dark red, a permanent testament to his final, tragic act of love and despair. After hiding in the cave, her fear finally subsiding, Thisbe cautiously emerged, not wanting to disappoint her love by being late. She hurried back to the mulberry tree, searching for Pyramus. She saw the tree but was confused by the color of its fruit. Were they now dark purple? Her eyes scanned the ground, and then she saw it. A body, writhing in its final moments. She drew back in horror. But as she looked closer, she recognized the face of her beloved Pyramus. A gut-wrenching scream tore from her throat. She threw herself upon his body, embracing him, weeping and kissing his cold lips, trying to rouse him from his endless sleep. "Pyramus!" she cried. "What cruel fate has taken you from me? Answer me! It is your own Thisbe who calls you." At the sound of her name, Pyramus's eyes fluttered open one last time to look upon her face, and then closed forever. Her gaze then fell upon his empty scabbard and her own blood-stained, torn veil. In that instant, she understood everything. A devastating wave of realization washed over her. She knew what had happened, and she knew what she must do. "Your own hand and your love for me have destroyed you," she whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. "I too can be brave. My love is as strong as yours. I will follow you." She picked up the sword, still warm with his blood. "O you who are most unhappy, our parents," she called out to the heavens, "do not begrudge us this one thing we ask, that we whom true love and death have joined may be laid to rest in the same tomb." Then, turning to the tree, she made one final plea. "And you, O tree, whose branches now shade the poor body of one, and soon shall shade two, keep the marks of our death. Let your fruit forever be a dark color of mourning, a memorial of our two lives." With those words, she placed the point of the sword below her heart and fell upon the blade. Her final prayer was not in vain. The gods, moved by her plea, and their parents, their hearts broken by the double tragedy, consented. The fruit of the mulberry tree from that day forward has remained a deep, dark red when ripe, forever dyed by the tragedy of these two lovers. And the ashes of Pyramus and Thisbe, once separated by a wall, were finally united in a single urn, together for all eternity. So, what does this ancient myth truly mean? At its core, the story of Pyramus and Thisbe is a powerful cautionary tale about the dangers of family feuds and the tragic consequences of poor communication. The wall that physically separated them is a symbol of the emotional and social barriers created by their parents' hatred. Their entire tragedy hinges on a single, fatal misunderstanding. Pyramus jumps to a conclusion without knowing the full story, and in his grief makes an irreversible decision. It's a timeless lesson that resonates even today. Assumptions can be devastating. The story also celebrates the incredible power and purity of young love, a love so strong that not even a wall or death itself could ultimately keep them apart. It reminds us that love demands courage, but it also requires patience and understanding. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to ancient Babylon. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more myths and legends from around the world, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments which myth you'd like to hear next. Until then, stay curious.